Recorded Books presents The Storyteller's Death by Dávila Cardinal. Narrated by Marisol Ramirez. Chapter 1. Death in a Back Room. There was always some old woman dying in the back room when I was a child. These women were just an expected part of the decor, like a lamp or a coffee table. I didn't know who most of them were, one ancient relative or another, and each summer I would usually find a new inhabitant. What I've come to understand, in the twilight of my own life, is that they were a nameless introduction to what would be my long and intimate relationship with death. They were also a doorway to true understanding of my Puerto Rican family and the gifts and curses that came with them. I was 8 years old in the summer of 1970 when I first encountered one of the inhabitants of the back room. That particular day, my cousins and I were running through Tío Ramon's one-story concrete house at top speed, sliding over the slick, tiled floors as adult reprimands in rapid-fire Spanish trailed behind us like a kite tail. We had to pass through the last room, a bedroom, before breaking free of the building and barreling into the back courtyard, scattering chickens and dust in every direction. I remember I stopped short at the threshold, staring at the unexpected body on the shadowed bed. My cousins collided into me from behind and, seeing my apprehension, said in English, "Don't worry about her, prima," as they pushed around me and pulled at my arms, coaxing me to follow them. "She can't hear you. Vamos!" I wanted to follow them, to be so unafraid as to walk through life as if there weren't something horrible waiting for me just out of sight. The smell hit me first. Medicinal, antiseptic, stale. Like my father's hospital room back in New Jersey. That chemical odor that reached down into my stomach and squeezed. I pulled free of my cousins, my feet rooted to the doorsill, their voices fading as they scampered out into the daylight. I looked down at the scrubbed white formica floor, the gray and blue dots forming moving patterns if I stared at them long enough, trying to pull me into their vortex, to get me to tip over and fall in head first. The room was spotless. Tia Lourdes always made sure of that. She'd been a nurse in the war, and so the care of the infirm family members always seemed to fall to her. These days, I can't help but wonder how she felt about that, or if she was even given a choice. This was one difference I found between the Larsen part of me and the Sanchez side. Even as a child, I couldn't imagine just blindly obeying someone simply because they were an adult, because they'd seen the sun rise and set more times than I had. Why did that alone impart the qualifications of authority? But that attitude was not understood nor appreciated by my mother's side of my family. That summer afternoon, I stood in the doorway, alone. The lights in the room were low. The bright afternoon glare permitted entry only through the wooden louvers that covered the windows, a narrow stream of sunshine spilling through the partially open back door, still swinging from my cousin Carlos's escape. Because of the near darkness, it was at least 10 degrees cooler than anywhere else in the house. A large wooden crucifix was the only decoration on the white walls, the graphic dying figure of Jesus, a ghastly contrast to the room's sterility. I imagined the blood from the wounds on his hands and feet, snaking down and among the small white peaks of the stucco wall in a race to see which would make it to the floor first. And there she was, an elderly female relative lying on the bed like an empty insect husk, her papery eyelids closed but quivering. A current of anxiety ran through my limbs, or was it a thrill? The line between repulsion and fascination was blurred in that moment, but one thing was certain. I couldn't stay there forever. I decided to steal quietly but quickly through the room and not look over at the bed. If I didn't look, it would be all right. She couldn't get me. I had made it half.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?